after 7 decades as heir apparent, to say the coronation of King Charles III was much awaited is an understatement. The event and 3 days of celebration surrounding it are thought to have cost £100 million, despite proceedings being scaled back. This figure is considerably higher than the inflation-adjusted £56 million price tag of his mother's coronation, making it the most expensive royal spectacle in history. Or so we thought. On Thursday, the Treasury revealed that the true expense of Queen Elizabeth II's funeral ran far higher than initially estimated, up to a staggering £161. £7 million. The UK's longest-reigning monarch died on September 8, 2022, at her much-loved Scottish residence of Balmoral Castle. Her passing was met with an outpouring of grief from people around the world and the country. By the time of her state funeral 11 days later, around 250,000 had filed past her coffin as she lay in state in Westminster Hall. This period of mourning, however, came at a considerable cost to the taxpayer. Reflecting the uncertain financial times for many households across the UK and the grips of the cost of living crisis, the coronation followed the King's slimmed-down principles. While his mother's guest list had topped 8,000 back in 1953, his was capped at around 2,000. The Queen's procession ran for 5 miles, the King's just over 1. Operation Golden Orb, the code name for the entirety of the bank holiday weekend's festivities, including the military parade, flypast, concert and coronation itself, still totted up to £100 million, the majority of which is thought to have stemmed from security costs. Guaranteeing the safety of hundreds of foreign dignitaries would be a mammoth task at the best of times, but fears of disruption from Republican and environmental protest groups ran particularly high. Many of the same pressures were at play in the weeks following the Queen's death, although protest activity was respectfully muted. HMRC's accounts show the largest cost to have been borne by the Home Office at £73. £7 million, likely stemming from a grant to the Metropolitan Police in support of what was the force's biggest ever operation, involving some 10,000 officers. In a written statement to Parliament, Chief Secretary to the Treasury John Glenn said, "The government's priorities were that these events ran smoothly and with the appropriate level of dignity, while at all times ensuring the safety and security of the public." The death of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on September 8, 2022 and the period of national mourning that followed was a moment of huge national significance. During this period, many hundreds of thousands of people came in person to pay their respects, at the Lying at Rest in Edinburgh, the Lying in State in Westminster, as well as in London and Windsor for the state funeral on September 19. Don't miss. Astonishing rise in number of people with heart condition that causes strokes. Latest, Meghan and Harry's relationship timeline and pictures, reveal. Meet Putin's likely successors and why they spell more trouble for Russia, Insight. He added, many more people also came out to support His Majesty the King and other members of the royal family as they travelled around the UK during this time. As departments finalize their accounts ahead of publication in the coming months, the government is now able to publish an estimate of the costs associated with delivery of these events by the main government departments and evolved administrations involved. The Department for Culture, Media and Sport was the second highest spender, racking up £57.4 million in costs, followed by the Ministry of Defence, £2.9 million, and the Department for Transport, £2.6 million. Mr Glenn's statement added that the Scottish, Welsh and Northern Ireland governments were fully refunded for their costs, coming to £18. 8 million, £2.2 million and £2. 1 million respectively. A 2,000-strong congregation of world leaders and European royalty attended Westminster Abbey for the state funeral itself, the first of its kind since Winston Churchill's in 1965. Regardless of their relative costs, being state affairs, the taxpayer is the one who ultimately footed the majority of the bill for the King's coronation and the Queen's funeral. While smaller events rely on private sources and the sovereign grant, the Crown's annual bursary, also coming from government coffers to the tune of £86. 3 million this year, the Treasury provides funding directly for state matters. Advocates claim that revenue from international TV rights and the tourism boost raked in more for the economy than the cost of the coronation. The same is less likely to apply for the Queen's funeral. Both involved an additional bank holiday, each of which costs the UK £2.3 billion, according to a report by the Centre for Economics and Business Research.